live. We in the building. We got a full crew, and it's ladies' night. That's right. I'm the only dude in the room, and we'll see how nice I'm going to be to them or how nice they're going to be to me. We got a lot to get into tonight. We want to know about the 31-year-old man who's in love with the 91-year-old woman. We talking about Tracy Morgan's accident. We got a preacher telling the congregation that these hoes ain't loyal, y'all. And we got 2 people dead in a toilet bowl accident. Yeah, that's what I said. Ain't no how step on Marcus J. And the crew is right now.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
they must be half stepping.
ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live from the den of Legacy Internet Radio. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893 to be down with the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. We're definitely happy and glad that you all are here with us tonight. We appreciate the support that we get, and thank you to the folks out there at MixLR. We see you there. Thank you to those folks that are listening to us on TuneIn, which is where most of the folks are checking in from, so we appreciate that. Legacy Internet Radio. Ain't no half step with Marcus J, sponsored by the Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams, ODPC. We're also sponsored by Free Spirit Enterprises, as well as Live Action Captions. And we'll talk about those sponsors here. Excuse me. Talk about those sponsors here momentarily, but as we do every single week, we always make sure that we check in with the crew. And tonight, I got a full crew. I got my sister Blessed in the building. What's going on, girl?
Not a thing. What's going on with you?
I'm doing great. How you doing? Tell me how you doing.
I'm wonderful. See, this weekend my nephew turned 6. We went to the Mexican restaurant to get chicken fingers and fries. It was wonderful. And then
chicken fingers and fries
from the Mexican restaurant. Yes, that's what we had.
Oh, okay.
And then today is his mother's birthday. So happy birthday, Heather B. And yeah, what else? I didn't get to ride this weekend.
As nice as the weather was, and you didn't ride?
I didn't get to ride.
You didn't get to ride?
I did go to Fredericksburg for a cookout. That's what I did. In church on Sunday.
That's what it is. Joining us as she does on the second Monday every single month. I got my sister, Miss Tony, in the building.
Hello,
what's up, girl?
How you doing?
I'm doing fabulously. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Look at you, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
She's kind of
Really?
glowing.
Yeah, man. You in a special mood today? I'm just picking on you. I'm just picking on you. So what's new with you? You doing all right?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm doing all right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And, of course, sitting to my left, as she does every single week, I got the co-host of Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. I got my sister, S.Y. Butler. What's up, girl?
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm doing fabulously. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here on,
It's ladies' night.
You're in trouble.
Am I in trouble?
Yeah.
Why am I in trouble? What'd I do?
Just take tonight as payback for those nights that you picked on me when I was alone here by myself, you and what other male grumpy thing that you had sitting with
Don't
you.
nobody care about all that.
I'm just Big Rube. Is that what you're talking about?
Don't nobody care about all that.
Rube don't even pick on me no more since he's not here.
I can be grumpy if I want to be grumpy.
Crabtree you have in here with you, y'all just start breaking on me and Now you're like the only dude.
Quit being sensitive.
No.
Okay.
Pisces. Pisces are sensitive.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. All right, so y'all ready to get to some stuff?
Yeah.
We got a lot to get to. Huh?
Let's get some energy in this.
Yeah, let's get some. Let's get some.
Drink.
Get some energy up in this jank. All right, listen. I was gonna save this one for later on, but I'm gonna lead the show off with this one. And I didn't tease it, and I'm not sure. I put it out there on social media, so I don't know if those folks are listening right now, but I want to put it out there to you. And it's one of the reasons why I said that this is ladies' night, because I'm the only dude here. But here's the question. I wanted to know how you all felt about breastfeeding. And here is why. I found myself in a discussion on several social media blogs today talking about breastfeeding, and those discussions all were started by this photograph that I'm showing y'all right now. Now, I could go to some of the blogs that I went to and read some of those comments and let you know. I was part of another blog with a friend of mine who I told that I would be talking about this, and so I may read some of the comments from that blog depending on how our discussion goes. But here is what my question is.
Do you want me to break it down? Though the people listening might not know.
Well, I'm gonna break it down. But why don't you do it? Go ahead, Buzz.
From what it seems like, it's a high school. It may be college. We don't know.
High school or college.
But it's a young lady who is holding her infant child in her cap and gown around everyone else in their cap and gowns who probably haven't even walked across the stage yet. But she's holding her daughter. They're wearing pink, so I'm thinking it's a daughter, and breastfeeding her. So the gown is open and you see a little bit of the tatas, and the daughter is drinking. So yeah, that's it.
So basically the setup is you got a young female, whether she's graduating high school or college is debatable, we're not sure, but her breast is fully exposed and the child is openly nursing. So I will share my opinions after y'all bless. Why don't you jump in here first and tell me what you think about this photograph?
I purposely left out the ethnicity, but
it's a black girl.
Well, I mean,
I don't think that matters, and I understand why you left it out. But interest in full disclosure, it's a sister.
Well, yeah, it's a sister, and she looks pretty young. But the fact that she's allowing someone to take a picture of her, which, okay, I don't have any kids, so that's my disclaimer right there. I don't understand the whole proud or pride and get breastfeeding and whatnot. Maybe that's one thing that people use as a discussion topic, but I don't think that that's something that you would just whip it out in front of a whole bunch of your classmates and start feeding your child. Usually I've seen people cover up their child, but maybe it's hot out there. It is out in the field instead of in a building. Maybe that's a point.
No, I think she should have gone somewhere and fed her baby. Now, there are lots of cameras, people taking pictures. There's no need to expose yourself at the ceremony.
And then they do have pumps nowadays too.
Yes. So she could have, if you got to breastfeed, you got to breastfeed. If that's how you feed your baby, that's how you feed your baby, and that's all well and good. But it's the ceremony. You are outside.
But somebody's sitting there taking a picture. Maybe it's another classmate.
And she's happy.
Yeah. She looks
happy.
so proud. I mean, whether it's...
I hope it's a freaking college graduation, because I'll be bricks if that's a high school graduation and you happy now you done finished finally. Now you got to breastfeed the baby.
Tony, what you think? You got the face on. I'm not sure how to interpret the face, but what's your thoughts?
Well, absolutely, you got to feed your baby, but I really think that she should cover up. I'm a woman and I have a child, and I don't want to see your boobies. And for me, just breastfeeding was never an option as a mother. That's just not something that was appealing to me. And I think that it's very invasive and intrusive when people do that. I mean, again, I know your baby got to eat. That's understood. But cover up. And that's going to go in your family album. Who wants to see it?
So let me get this. So if I'm understanding you guys, all three of you disagree with the photograph. And in spirit, agree with it being okay to breastfeed, but disagree with the photograph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let me play with this a little bit. I'm gonna play with this a little bit.
What, the boob?
That's what happens
I'm
on
on the fence
ladies'
with this one,
night.
but yeah, that was funny. Good job, that's why. Thank you. You were saying?
Well, I do that too. But I was taken to task a few times today. I was on a couple of different blogs here, and I was taken to task for basically being a caveman for saying what y'all just said. So I'll ask you this: do you? And I'll come to you, SY. Do you have a problem with a person being at Applebee's and their child getting hungry? They're hungry, so the child is hungry. The child is time for the child to eat, so why can't you eat? That's essentially what I've been given. And when I suggested to cover up, I was told that I don't want to eat with a cover over my head, so why should they make the child eat with a cover on their head? To that you say
there
that.
are tops that they make, especially if you want to breastfeed your baby in public. Now, I don't want you to sit there diagonally across the table from me with your tits out, feeding your baby. There's a way to do it. And if you can't pump it, put it in a bottle, they make nipples for the bottles that are supposed to feel like your nipples. So there's no reason to pull your sag out and start feeding the baby in public like that. I don't want to see that while I'm eating. I understand the baby has to eat, but they make things to cover up your breasts while you feed your baby.
Tamika says she wasn't able to listen, but she's going to be listening to the replay. Alicia says you better feed the baby. Yes, it's okay. Two different Alicias. Both of them say that it's okay. Bless, what you got?
Well, I was going to say, I understand not wanting the baby covered up. You don't want them to have a some kind of syndrome or something when they grow older, that they got to have something over their head every time they eat or something like that. But still, I mean, it's the whole thing of it's not okay for women to walk around with no shirt on when you're at the ballpark. Men can do it, but women can't. And it's called indecent exposure if you do that type of thing. So feeding the baby, cover up your breast. Maybe there's a little hole that peeks through the baby can attach to or something like. But I'm sorry, I can't help but motion at my top when I do it. But that's the whole point. It's just like she's flashing people, sort of. I understand not covering up the baby, but it's like the picture she's flashing, and I'm very proud of her. She's graduating. You know, it's a happy event. She's smiling. She's very happy, but that's just, you know, her boob is out.
Tamika says that why should she, and this is on the blog from earlier on, this is not live right now, but she says, why should she have to cover? Does anyone cover when they eat nasty dripping pieces of heart attack they call food? It's inappropriate to send me anywhere to feed my infant because of who I am. I would cover because I'm not one to draw attention to myself unnecessarily, but my point is I'll do it wherever necessary. Not my problem. People objectify breasts, but it's my problem. My baby is crying hungry, and it will be solved. Not bending on this one. At graduation, at the mall, doesn't matter. In front of the judge, she's in law school. If negatively affects my client, I can't. But if that's the point that's being made, Tony, what you got?
Couple of things. First of all, I want to know who took that picture. First of all, and like, what was the point of that? To take the picture in that moment. I mean, I don't get the point of that. But I understand what Tamika is saying, because there are those who believe that the breasts are strictly here for that reason. That's their purpose, is to be able to provide nourishment for our babies. So, you know, to some people, it's not, oh my gosh, your boobs are exposed. It's, you know, that's how you feed your baby, so you got to feed your baby. Pull it out.
But in this day and time, society is not about feeding the child. It's about men like boobies.
Well, right, and that's why we can't wear our shirts off in public.
It's just like you said, indecent exposure.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And eating food is different than pulling out your breasts and feeding a baby. I mean, those are two different things.
And then we can get into a whole nother debate about how old is it when you stop feeding your child. I mean, if it's a 4-year-old, then
That's
of course
another
that's just totally.
That's
I can speak from experience. Mrs. J breastfed Mama J, and she is reminding me that she used to pump for these kinds of instances. I also know that pumping isn't comfortable for everybody, but when I got into this discussion with the
No, I had to do that. My sister got sick right after she had one of her second child, and I had to pump her breast for her.
Oh, man.
And when I tell you that's something that you could not pay me to do again.
Did she punch you in the face?
No, she was like, it's right
there. Okay. I thought you were going to say that you was causing her discomfort.
No, that hurts.
Yeah.
I'm so far out the loop. I don't know anything about it.
But here,
breastfeeding.
I read Tamika's comment, and I'll read to you. I'll read what my comment was to her. Basically, I said breasts are objectified. They are. Just deal with it. You would have a problem if they were. You wouldn't have a problem if they were objectified with a sexy bra that pushes them up to look sexy. You know, so which is it? You either going to be upset at one time or both times. Is kind of where I was going with that. And so I won't read the rest of it. That's kind of the gist of what I was saying. But, you know, we live in a time where, they are objectified. But for me, it ain't even about objectification. It's about the public display. Because if you look at that photograph, it was about the public display. It wasn't about my child is hungry right now. Okay, the child was, and clearly the child is feeding, but that's not what that photo was about. And I've seen this conversation in social media all day today, not just in the conversations that I've seen it in multiple places. So that graduation was probably recently, and that photo is making its rounds around everybody's Facebook wall. And so that's how it ended up on my radar. And to me, it's not about, and one of her friends, Tamika's friends here in this blog here, she cites the law that says that it is legal. You cannot be prosecuted. You cannot be disrespected in any kind of way and things of that sort. To actually publicly breastfeed is within your right to do so.
Is it different in different states?
She pulled out what I believe is Virginia. So I don't know the answer to that question, you know, but like if you were in the store and you saw a man and a woman kissing each other pretty aggressively, would you want to see that? That's natural. You know, that's natural. We say that. We say get her wrong. We say with attitude like get her wrong. Like don't nobody want to see that. And so another analogy that I made, and I didn't say this because I didn't think that it would be well received in the form that I was, but with this being our show, I think that it would be a little bit more received here. But when you throwing laws and stuff at me, that doesn't affect me because you can write a law that I don't agree with. It used to be against the law. It used to be, law that we were slaves. Currently it's a law that pretty much anybody can get a gun. You know what I mean? So just because it's the law doesn't mean it's right. It's your right doesn't mean it's right. So
okay, well we can use.
I would have noted that.
Well, I mean, but
I just didn't. You know what it is? I did not want to get into a long debate. One, because I didn't have time, and two, I'm just not interested in anybody attacking me in social media because I'll go there with someone that hurts somebody's feelings, and then next thing you know, I'm getting inboxed all this crazy stuff, and I didn't feel like I wanted to do that because you can't have a conversation with someone intellectually in social media because once you make a good point they don't agree with, then they start calling you names and all of that kind of stuff, and I'm just not the one for that. So I let it go.
Regarding the graduation, I mean, at least in the country where I'm from, all the graduates are seated separately from the audience, and they don't usually have their children with them when they're sitting down there. Now, when I went to Howard graduation, I saw the graduates just walking around and saying hello to their people while Puff Daddy or Wolf Blitzer or whoever was up there talking, and I'm like, this isn't what I'm used to. But the kids didn't go sit with them. That's my whole point. A baby might have been out here and they say, oh hi, and there's my baby, and went back and sat down with all their classmates. So it's just a weird setting to me. It looks set up kind of.
It did kind of look set up to me. I just I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I just want to make it clear that I am someone that 100% supports breastfeeding. I think it is the way to go. It's about the most natural thing that you can do. You're feeding your child, and it creates a bond between the mother and the child. And also keep in mind that this isn't a third world country where it's customary for women to walk around topless, you know, and this isn't, you know, the 1800s where you may not have had access to the kind of clothing that we do now. And we do live in a time where, you know, quite frankly, breasts are objectified and they're viewed as a sexual organ by many, not just men. Some women feel that way as well. And so if you're an exhibitionist or if you're a women's libber and you want to be that person that's screaming from the rooftop, it's your right to do it and ain't nobody going to stop me and I'll just whip it out whenever I feel like it. If you're that chick, then by all means be that chick. But you can be very discreet without running away and hiding like some of these people say that, well, you're not going to make me run and hide. You don't have to run and hide. And you, in some cases, don't even have to cover. You can just be discreet. There is nothing discreet about that photograph. And that is my whole point that I think was maybe misconstrued when I was debating with these people earlier. So I just left it alone. They wanted to come after me, but they didn't want to come after the guy who was calling them out their name for actually doing it. So that's a whole nother discussion for another time. Well, I was an easy target, but because I came at them intellectually, and you want to go after the smart guy instead of the guy that's calling you out your name. But hey, that's how you roll. That's how you roll. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial to be down with. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Yo, y'all heard about Tracy Morgan?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard about it the other night. My girlfriend Monica.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. But here's why I bring it up. Obviously, it's sad, and you know, Tracy, we're hearing about his injuries, which include a broken leg and several broken ribs, a broken nose. There's talk that he may lose his leg, but he's fighting with them about that because he doesn't want to do that. He's dealing with impending possible paralysis, so he's pretty banged up. But here's why I wanted to bring it up. Fox News has a guy called Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson has been around for a long time. He hasn't always been on Fox, but he actually said that he doesn't think that the truck driver who was driving this truck that caused this accident should have to go to jail because he fell asleep behind the wheel. He says that, you know, just falling asleep shouldn't be that big of a deal, and that, you know, maybe you can charge him, maybe not, but for him to actually go to jail, go to prison for 4 to 10 years or whatever the actual time frame is not a good thing. Now, what one of the quotes, and this is he's saying, I'm not trying to take anything away from the tragedy of this. This is Tucker Carlson. But 10 years in jail for falling asleep, it strikes me as a very different from taking drugs, drinking. Has that ever happened? Has anybody ever actually gone to jail for falling asleep? And the person he is debating with says falling asleep and causing the death, absolutely. Tucker Carlson continues his lunacy by saying, but I mean, sometimes people, and I'm not defending anyone here, I'm really struck by the idea that someone who falls asleep, which is something that everybody does every day, not necessarily considered an act of recklessness, does it unintentionally, nod off, is a criminal. Yeah, I don't want to read any more of that. Bless.
I was just gonna say, anytime something happens, you have to be ready for just stupid comments, period. But that one just took the. I have been one to fall asleep. I'm the one smacking myself in the face and pinching myself while I'm driving, and I know how dangerous it is because I've known people that a whole family, the daughter, the husband, and the wife got killed by someone who fell asleep, ran over the highway, and hit them. So. Yes, I mean, they tell you do not operate heavy machinery when you take medication for a reason, because you could hurt somebody or yourself. So sleeping, which they've done research on, I do believe I've seen a couple of news shows about how dangerous sleeping could be, or driving while tired could be just as bad as driving while drunk.
That's crazy. Michelle K is checking in. Michelle K, what's going on, girl? She's saying hey. She's saying hey to everybody. Hey, Tony, girl. What you think about Tucker Carlson? And you know what? I don't want to make it about him. I guess we can make it about him. Yeah, let's make it about him because he said something incredibly stupid here. And I saw your face as I was reading the comment. What you got, man?
I think that people take driving, they don't take it serious enough and realize that the damage that vehicles do to things and other people. Like I'm so glad to see, like the new laws with texting and things like that.
But nobody enforces them. It's
right, unless somebody is fatally or seriously injured, and just we all fall asleep, but
at home,
right at night when it's bedtime, like you don't get behind the wheel. I mean, it's you have to take it seriously, and you do have a responsibility to the other people on the road, and you can't just say, oh, I was tired, I didn't mean for it to happen. That's not an excuse, and it's not okay. Yeah, you should be punished because we all have a duty to ourselves and to other people on the road. And if you can't handle that responsibility and use it, wisely and with caution, then it should be taken away from you.
Maybe he's one that doesn't have to drive anymore. He gets driven around all the time. So let his driver fall asleep.
Well, I need him to be on the road tonight when I'm on the way home. I'm feeling a little sleepy right about now.
I was so struck by. I was so struck by how incredibly insensitive and stupid those comments were that I didn't even really know how to respond to it. It's like any kind of impairment is dangerous, and I think when you mention like texting and driving, I mean a lot of folks are guilty of that. I mean I've seen I seen a chick one time. This chick had two hands on her cell phone, and she's
driving with her knees.
Yeah, I don't know what she was doing, But anytime you're impaired, you are taking a chance. If you went to the club and you had a couple, you're taking a chance. If you are sleepy, you're taking a chance. If you texting, you're taking a chance. A lot of people are guilty of it. People in this room may be guilty of it. But we all know that chance. So if you take that chance and it don't work out, then it is what it is. I don't want to hear someone say this. Now, when I posted that, the caption that I posted, I normally just posted ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Let folks know this is something we're gonna talk about. But this is the reason why people don't take Fox serious, except for the Fox followers. Those cultish people who listen to Fox, they the only ones who pay attention because they're the ones that are sitting there going, yeah, Tucker is the man, he right.
And he probably said it with all seriousness.
He did. He was but you know what? I think a lot of times what they do is they get somebody who is opposed to their political platform, not so much an individual view, but a political platform, and then they debate him just so that they can be debating. So he can be on TV debating the driver in the Tracy Morgan accident, who that guy happens to be a liberal, but because he's a liberal and the liberal person is taking one position, he has to go completely to the right for and it makes pun intended.
So stupid.
It does. It does. I mean, I'm not going to attack Fox because MSNBC is just as dumb. They got dummies over there as well. All they do is do what the White House tell them to do, and then back when George Bush was the president, that's what Fox did, and people will take me to task for making that statement, but just pay attention, you'll see that I'm right on that one. But I don't think we need to go any further. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Tony, I want you in on this one first. We know that you're God-fearing woman. You go to church, and we've talked about your pastor, who I think we can all say is a great dude because I've seen him on television and I've seen some of the things he does and then talking to you, I know that you respect him. Would you respect your pastor if he in the pulpit, regardless of the situation and why he said it, the context? If he said these hoes ain't loyal,
yep,
you would still respect him?
Sure would, and I love Jamal Bryant. Let me just say that first of all.
Okay, well then let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I mean, so many people, don't go to church or they don't want to be involved in religion because they see, religious people as hypocrites. But you have to realize, one, that we're all people. And depending on what your religious beliefs are, I'm a Christian, I'm striving to, be the best person that I can be, but I'm not perfect. I'm still human. Not everybody is in the same place on their spiritual journey. And to be an effective preacher, teacher, minister, you got to reach people where they are. So, Pastor Jamal Bryant, as does many other pastors, including my own, a lot of times they'll use lines from secular music in their sermons to reach the people who don't know about Hebrews 3:25. You know, not everybody knows about that, and not everybody can relate to that or even wants to hear that. Don't preach at me. Talk to me. Teach me as a 25-year-old living in 2014. So it fit the sermon, and it's true. Hoes ain't loyal.
Bless, you get a kick out of this. What you think? Because we also know, you know, as someone who plays pianos in churches, and you spend a lot of time in the church as well. So this is the reason why I wanted you to on this one first. You know, not to disparage us why myself as heathens or nothing, but but I think that you guys could, you know, kind of tell me if you think I'm tripping.
I really would have liked to have been there for that sermon. I think I still go to a church where there are a lot of, they're straddling 45, 50, 55, so they're a little bit more reserved with, but they're trying to be hip and they're trying to reach the youngins, but the hoes that ain't loyal. I wonder who the topic of the sermon was about. I really wish I would have heard it, but I think there is a point where it gets too far. Coming down Midlothian, going towards Chippenham from Chesterfield, I saw a sign that said, "Sex in the summer. Visit us at Speaking," whatever the church was. And I'm like, this is the topic to bring people into church, sex in the summer?
Yeah, apparently. You know what that reminds me of, though? You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of how when we used to do our show, Ain't No Hashtag with Marcus J, and we used to keep it with politically themed topics and things of that sort, and the listenership was down. And once we started freshening it up with a little bit more pop culture stuff, a little bit more what the hell type of stuff, more people wanted to listen to it. The point is, you know, I've had to learn along with you guys how to, you know, frame it in a way where we can get people to listen to us, and then we start dropping jewels on them. You know what I mean? Like we got to get them in the door, you know. And it's unfortunate that you got to do that people seem to want to run away from intelligence and intellectual discussion. But if Pastor what's his name has to tell them sex in the summer just for them to come up in the church, I'm not saying that I agree with that. I'm just saying that I understand it because I did something similar here with this show. That's why. What's your thoughts on Pastor Jamal Bryant in Maryland?
You know, like Brandy said, you wish you were there to hear it, because I'd like to know what the sermon was about.
I'll tell you what it was about.
And as Tony said, you do have to sometimes speak on someone else's level to get them to understand. Now, I don't know that I can go to church and listen to a sermon that's full of other people's language. I can't do that. I wouldn't do it on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, but if every now and again you gotta try to get somebody's attention and make them understand, then I can agree with that.
Well, I just wanted to know also, I'm getting to their surrounding topics. Were there children there during the
Probably.
Most likely.
In the congregation?
I can't imagine that there wouldn't have been.
The sermon was about, basically he was preaching to men and not listening to the women that God has sent to them, thereby cheating themselves out of their destiny and their purpose. So basically, you have this woman who God has placed in your life who is trying to help you to do what God purposed for you to do, but you're so busy, you chasing skirts, or you want to be a thug, or you want to do drugs, or whatever it is that's keeping you away from what God has for you. Mm-hmm. So that was basically the gist of the sermon. Mm-hmm. Is about how brothers get basically kind of off track by not listening to the woman that's there for you. Mm-hmm. So
here's what I'll say to that. While I understand what his motives were and why he was doing that, and when I was talking to someone about this a couple of days ago, and I agree with you, Tony, when you say you got to talk to people how they can understand you, because that's one of the things that I know that you really like about your pastor, and I can respect that. But I do agree with Brandy when she said that there's certainly a level that you probably shouldn't cross. And I get the whole quoting, first of all, you're quoting Chris Brown. I got to question your intelligence doing that. But I mean, there's certain words that just don't match in the church for me. You know what I mean? Like if he said hoes, you know what I mean? Like that's just not cool to me.
It would have been better if he said whores.
I mean, to me, they're interchangeable.
Whoremongers is in the Bible. That's what I'm saying. It's in the Bible.
But a lot of it also has to do with context. You know, I agree. A lot of it has to do with context, and I had a visceral reaction to it when he said when I heard about these hoes ain't loyal in the pulpit in church. You know, if it fits your context of what you're trying to say, you're gonna cuss too. You're gonna drop the F bomb or the S bomb in church.
And like you said, there are boundaries.
And to me, that boundary was crossed.
But he said hoes. He ain't said a B word.
To each his own. I can say that. Well,
That's a big
Hoe is short for honey. It's if we're gonna.
I mean, one bad word for the next. I mean, really?
Well, when I had this debate with someone, I was told that I, you know, as someone who's not a religious person, I am an agnostic, but I'm very spiritual. And I was raised a Christian. I was raised in a Christian church with old people, for lack of a better, old people. You know, not older people, old people. Okay, you know, and our pastors that I grew up with have always. Well, I had one when I was younger who was a young guy, but for the most part, every pastor that I've ever been affiliated with has been an old man, basically, to me, even now. And so, I can't imagine, you know, a young, vibrant, hip pastor who has a different kind of connection with his congregation having the ability to take certain liberties, because I'm picturing Reverend Jones up there saying these hoes ain't loyal, and I'm telling you, it wouldn't come off very well, you know, in Monumental Baptist Church where I grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey. So I guess that's the perspective that I'm coming from, because I was told that I'm taking it too serious.
My mama would walk.
That's what I was told. And Tony, I mean,
hell is serious.
I mean, and I agree, because, you know, just like anything else, like, if you don't like it, don't listen to it. Like, Pastor Jamal Bryant has a large following all over the place. And this is a man who is divorced because he cheated on his wife with one of his church members.
Them hoes ain't loyal.
But he's still, people still love Pastor Jamal Bryant. He's still the pastor of the church. He still travels all over the country, maybe all over the world.
All right, well let me ask you this then, because you said a little while ago that you love the dude.
I do.
But
he's still a man. He's a man, just like you.
I got you. I got you. But I mean, it just seems a bit troubling for me, you know, with that kind of history. And I'm a man too, and I'm certainly flawed. I mean, and you know, I give you guys literally 5 seconds to give me 5 flaws. I'm sure you can each do it. That's 15. So, you know, I'm sure you could tell me. I just. You know, I guess maybe what I do is I put too much stock in the messengers of deity, you know, and that's probably a big part of the reason why I walked away from religion, because I lost so much faith in the messenger and I put so much stock and I lost so much faith that, you know, I have them on a level where I expect certain things and I don't expect others, and I don't expect a pastor of a church to use that kind of language in a congregation. You got a room full of women, and I know a lot of them were offended. I'm sure many of them were not, as you're not offended, but I'm sure a lot of them were. And so how do you justify that? The whole reason why we're hearing about this is because it's offensive by definition.
But you don't worship the pastor.
I understand
you worship the God or your deity. You don't worship the pastor. They're a man, they're a woman, just like everybody else.
They're a messenger, just like a teacher. You don't think teacher knows everything. I tell Mama J this all the time. You know, I'm your teacher ahead of the lady or the dude you go to school with every single day. So if they tell you something you don't understand or you don't agree with, you need to come see me. Right. That's the way I'm with you on that. But the teacher is the person who is tasked with disseminating the information. And so if they give you some misinformation, I get to take them to task for it. And when I use this analogy of giving misinformation, I'm saying that this dude shouldn't have said these hoes ain't loyal in the pulpit. That's just, you know, we'll just have to come to a place where we agree to disagree on that one, because I just don't see how I can justify that. That's why you making this face over there. I'm not sure where you're going with it, but
which face, darling?
The one where you're going.
Well, you know,
you had the grizzy face on.
Like, oh dear.
You know, it's
pretty much just the same thing. Like I said earlier, sometimes you do have to try to reach someone on their level. Now, I'm not interested in the word hose.
Girl, wake up!
I don't know. I gotta get ready to drive. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you do have to. It's just like when you bring up children and make them understand something when they're 4. You talk to them like they're 4 so they can relate to what you're saying. But
that maybe should have been like a men's ministry only.
It should have been.
Possibly.
It should have been.
Maybe.
Certain words don't need to be said. But I agree that you do have to, if you want to reach a certain audience, then you have to speak to them on their level. I agree with that. Certain words, though, I can't. I can't agree with.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. Be down with us tonight. Call us at 804-402-2893. My brother Hakeem is checking in. What's up, man? He says, seems like he tuned in just in time. He's saying what's up to me and you guys. And he's 502, baby. That's a shout out to my man K-Dub. Hopefully he's listening to us as well. We're getting a couple of hits in social media of folks who are wanting to get in on the breastfeeding thing, so we're going to take a step back just for a minute to get those comments in, and then we're going to move on to the final thing that we're going to talk about in this segment. We've got Kevin is saying his response is that this is very ridiculous. Stop trying to draw attention to oneself. Be discreet about it. Please have respect for yourself and respect for those folks around you. My sister Melanie up in the Shy, she's listening, and she's got a comment as well. She says that it's a good topic. She didn't say much more, but she's saying it's a good topic. And my mom is listening. Thanks for listening. Mom's J is checking us out tonight. She said this child is an exhibitionist looking to bring attention to herself. Of course, the baby should be fed when she needs it, but show a little class and consideration to the people around you. I personally would be offended if I came upon the scene. Where is your home training girl?
There you go.
And I can totally like see my mama's face.
The library is open.
She is not happy with this young lady here in this case. And I actually spoke to my mom about this earlier today, so I had a pretty good idea of where she would go with it. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. All right, last thing that I want to get into with this segment is the 2 people who tragically died and several who were injured after a telephone fell in an open pit toilet.
So you mean like this was an outhouse type?
It's over 2 people suffocated and several were injured after a woman dropped her cell phone into a cesspool in Xinjiang City, which is in the Henan province in China. I'm getting this SY from
the
where?
Huffington Post.
Huffington Post. According to the South China Morning Post, the woman's husband climbed down into the open pit toilet to collect the phone, worth about $300. He reportedly lost consciousness inside the cesspit. The man's mother reportedly jumped in after her son, but she also fainted. A doctor interviewed by the Donny Daily, a local paper, said the people suffocated due to a lack of oxygen in the cesspit's air. Gases from sewage can displace oxygen, leading to asphyxiation. Neighbors were called to help after the owner of the phone tried to save her husband and mother-in-law. She also lost consciousness. Several other people were injured in an attempt to help the victims. Quote, and y'all gonna love this quote. Quote, the smell was too strong. I lost consciousness before I could see anything, a neighbor told the Donny Daily. Neighbors found a rope and used it to haul the people out. A total of 6 people ended up being pulled from the cesspool, which was reportedly filled knee-deep with waste. The husband and his mother both had pulses when they were rescued, but died after it took medical responders more than an hour to arrive on the scene. Quote, 2 lives have gone in 5 minutes, and my cousin's wife is still in a coma, leaving a partially paralyzed old man and a 1-year-old son at home. The husband's uncle said, according to the Shanghaiist, which is a newspaper there. And then the final quote, what are we supposed to do? End quote. Now, I read that whole story, which I normally don't do. This is a shitty story, y'all.
That's a myth.
That's some real shit right there, ain't it? Ain't that some shit? I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh and make light of people losing their life, and I normally go last, but I'm gonna go first on this one. These people did all this over a $300 cell phone.
Really?
You know, he goes in after a $300 cell phone.
They didn't have insurance on the phone.
They didn't have insurance. I don't know, but here's the deal. Like, let's say you go in there and you get it out. What you gonna do with it now? Like, really? That's why. Really? You're having some trouble over there.
You gonna wipe it off and put it on your ear and make a phone call? Girl, you can't believe I just got this phone out of pocket. Ain't that some shit?
I thought cesspools were, well, hey, this is China. Who knows how
they might roll. They might roll
they were
different.
blocked off and whatnot. And, it's like some type of company handles. What was she doing there with her husband and the husband's mother? Were they taking a
Why do
tour?
you want it?
Who takes public shits?
Why do you want it?
Hey.
Tony?
So
you
want some breaking
I am
news?
not ashamed. I'm not about to bust a gut.
Yeah, but you're the same person that wouldn't breastfeed.
No, I wouldn't breastfeed, but that's different.
You wouldn't
I think I'd
breastfeed.
rather whip out a half a breast.
You wouldn't breastfeed in public, but you take a shit.
No. 3 letters, IBS.
Ivy off the tree and wipe.
IBS.
Okay, all right.
That's why we talk. Didn't you talk about IBS?
Okay, but
Well,
yeah, I'm not
though.
gonna pull it out, pull my pants down, and bunk my butt up. And
Oh my god. Oh my god.
They say that the best position for it is to stoop or whatnot. That's the best position to get
You
it
don't
out.
have to. You don't have to.
Well, I actually saw that the natural position that we sit is not only wrong, but it's uncomfortable. I'm gonna show y'all. Somebody talk while I'm showing y'all.
How are you
Okay.
supposed to do it, Marcus J? You're supposed to sit on the toilet.
Just like, yeah.
oh, you just kneel over the toilet.
Pretty much,
practically.
yes.
So, unfortunately, I'm having difficulty. Like, just for those folks listening, I'm gonna tell you how to take a shit. This is what you
You
do.
gonna get on your heels.
You're supposed to imagine yourself climbing up on the toilet, right? Imagine putting your toes around the rim of the toilet, and then your knees are completely bent with your bottom facing completely down and your legs completely bent, as opposed to actually sitting. I saw this. I read this today, literally today.
So-
that allegedly is the correct way to defecate.
Also, natural childbirth is supposed
That's what I was
to be
gonna say.
Like that too.
way too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you've got to have really good core muscles
Yeah, they ain't
to
perfect.
to poop.
shit properly. Really?
Yeah, man. Michelle K said all this over a cell phone. Let the phone stay down
Thank you,
there,
'cause I
man.
don't- why would you want it
They
after
had
that?
Sprint and they ain't have insurance. Do you see my
Why I gotta be
phone?
Sprint? Why I gotta be Sprint?
You see my phone?
They probably had the Samsung Galaxy or iPhone.
Michelle also saying, going back to the pastor, she's saying that he proved his point, but the word was inappropriate at that time. All right, ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. We're going to take our first break of the night, and when we come back, SY is you on the clock, sis, and you're going to tease us a little bit. What you got? You going to tease us a little bit?
I warned y'all last week. I gave you ample warning.
I wasn't here.
Oh, you didn't roll that beautiful bean footage? I warned y'all last week, so I want you to get your candy and your cartoons together.
Candy and cartoons. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got SY, we got Miss Brandy, we got Miss Tony, and we got yours truly, Marcus J. Ain't no half stepping. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio, 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. Stay with us. Be back in a minute.